My one friend, Brendan, he came over to my desk. He's like, Katie, he's like, I just wanted to tell you the reason why we harp on you so much is because deep down, we wish that we could be taking care of our health like you are. He's like, look at us. We're all overweight. We're all have health problems. And here we are eating pizza and burgers. And to see you doing something about your health, it just, we don't have that courage. And I'm so thankful to this day that he said that to me, because in that moment, I realized that the comments and opinions that I'm getting from others aren't about me. It's not about me. It's actually about their own inner, issues and self-confidence and esteem and lack of courage or whatever that may be. So I was so thankful to him for that.
Welcome to the Clear Skin Chronicles, the podcast that takes you on a journey to uncover the secrets of achieving glowing, acne-free skin. We believe that knowledge is power, and by understanding the root causes of your acne, we can create a solid foundation for long-lasting clear skin. I'm Katie Stewart, registered holistic nutritionist and founder of the Clear Skin Solution, where we help women just like you get to the root cause of their acne.
And I'm Chris Brown, registered holistic nutritionist and program director in the Clear Skin Solution. Through functional testing, we pinpoint where the body system imbalances lie so we can dive deep into your acne clearing journey.
We work virtually with clients to clear up their skin from the inside out and have helped thousands of women worldwide regain their confidence.
Today, we're going to talk about how to get a partner on board with our health journeys. Time and time again, we see this with clients, and we cannot stress the importance of how you're going to transition through. This is lifestyle. Lifestyle means forever. Doesn't mean a therapeutic protocol forever, just caveat there. However, we really have to look at health and the environment even around us, what it can bring to us, the people inside of it, the decisions we're making, and I always say it's not about convincing people, because we're not about that. We're looking about not sabotaging our own journey for other people's gains.
Well said, Chris Brown. Well said. And I think
days.
Some days you're on the ball. Somebody had their coffee this morning.
Facts.
And I think this is an important topic to talk about. It's not one of those like, oh, skincare and oh, this is cool. But this is something that a lot of our clients really do deal with in their day-to-day life. And I know both you and I, when we first started our own health journeys, we had similar things where people didn't understand, whether it was friends, family members, coworkers, and it can be really impactful, right? So I really today wanted to go through, maybe we can each share a story of when we started eating, like healthier and changing our lifestyle habits. And then we can kind of go through like what we hear from clients. And then I want to talk about really how we can be approaching the conversation and how we can be getting family members to, it's not like they need to understand, but maybe they can still support you in your journey, right? So we're going to be talking through some tips about that. So Chris, I'll let you share your story first. Well, I thought it'd be nice today.
I was just going to say, okay, take it away. So funny we're thinking that. Okay, so my story is essentially I was done with being sick. I was done with being tired. I was done with not feeling well or not being able to get out of bed. I was just done. Emotionally drained, physically drained. Looking back now, this is a big one for me, but looking back now, holy Hannah Banana, I get it. I was pushing people away. Not quite the area I probably should have done.
But hey, that's your personality, Chris.
Hello Libra, I need to be in balance.
But you want to know what's funny? I'm a Scorpio and I have that like intensity. If you're a Scorpio, you know what I mean.
Yeah, you do. If you don't know what a Scorpio is, go look it up and look at the scary traits. So just so you know what Paige and I are dealing with.
Whoa, everybody. Go and look at your Libra traits, the bad Libra traits as well.
Yeah, they're solid. They are solid. I own all of them.
I own all mine.
It to me. I love them.
We own ours.
So looking at that, I knew I was done. I knew I needed change. I told you about the whole there's nothing I can do. Went back to school. Holy man. I went back to school and it wasn't a little bit of a change. It was we were getting a reverse osmosis system, we were getting a new water system, we were getting this, and we were getting that, and all of a sudden gluten was out. But that was mainly because my wee little Kylie was having all those issues. Next thing you know, like Steve's in this whirlwind going, what the heck? And I'm basically like, sit down, shut up. That was the
Buckle
approach.
up, Steve. Buckle
like,
up.
Listen, if you don't fasten your seatbelt, sorry if you get ejected, right? Like these types of things. And it sounds harsh. But the thing is I cared so much, I just didn't know how to communicate it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I wanted all these change, and I knew they were so good for me. And I knew they were so good for the family because I included them in the changes. What I didn't stop and realize it, because I am very much yeah, this is good, let's do it. Like, you can't convince me otherwise. Another Libra trait, by the way. So once I do my research and I'm committed, I'm all in. Because of that, kind of forgot about maybe the resistance from the other faces that
because
resided.
other people aren't learning what's in your brain, and so for you, you're like, of course we're doing this, like, of course, but they didn't have that same education understanding that you had at the time.
Yeah, I don't even think we had Tegan at that point. So the great thing is the kids were there's very little resistance, right? I buy the food, they eat the food, so that was fantastic. So logically, we know that we're not attacking them. Mm-hmm. However, they can feel triggered because it's an assertiveness. It's not collaborative. It's not, group hug. And Steve's like a group hug kind of guy. Right? I'm like,
he's a very social little butterfly.
He is Katie in male version.
Yeah, we're best friends. We send memes back and forth.
Oh God. See, does anyone feel my stress and my laugh? So when I talk about stuff like this, fast forward, well, actually easy 15 years, mm-hmm. I see the impact I made wasn't beneficial for the overall gains because I wasn't including people. I didn't ask them their thoughts and their opinions. This is what we're doing. And in fairness, I was learning too because I went back to school. So I didn't have all the answers. Mm-hmm. I didn't have all the things. When I went back to school, there's this big, huge, massive fundamentals book. Katie, you'll know what I'm talking about.
I used it as my computer stand when I was done with it. That's how thick it was.
Yes.
What is it, like 5 inches?
Oh, I teach from it all the time. It's still used, right? That's what I teach from. And I remember getting it and going to the cottage, and Steve's family was all around, and they're like, what is that? And I'm like, this is my first course. Like, yeah. And I started to sweat a little bit. So
I also brought that book to the cottage with hopes that I would get through it, and I did not. I was like, this is torture.
And the other thing is Steve's family, so sister and nurse, health inspector, brother-in-law, nurses and teachers, so educators of all kinds, all in their health, like Western medicine. This was not seen as ideal. My transition wasn't seen as ideal. Like Steve's dad always says, even to this point, Chris still doing that food thing?
Yep, like, still doing it.
Like, still, I'm just
still doing
like,
it.
Rah. It's really hard to be calm, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Because we get frustrated. Because before we try, really, say to enroll people into what we're doing, we're like picking away at it. And then we try and encompass everybody, but we don't have all the whys, and they're firing questions at us and we don't know how to answer it. And then we get frustrated, and then mm-hmm. we feel we're attacked. They feel they're attacked. Like, long story short is there is nothing I can do to go back and change what it is. However, we can bring a lot of tenderness and kindness forward even to our clients so that we can help them transition into this lifestyle. Mm-hmm. I still, to this day, I'll tell you, there was one incident. We went to the cottage, and my sister-in-law said, here, do you want to put your food in? And I said, no, I just don't want the cross-contamination because of the gluten and everything. Do you know that is still brought up
to this
10
day.
Years later?
Yep. Believe
10 years later. So do I have buy-in? No. Do I have camaraderie? No. Have the lines been drawn? Yes. Was I a part of that? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So it's knowing where we fall and how we can execute it and then go from there. So mm-hmm. without, I don't give all details of the roles. Like, you give more details than
I
me,
do.
but
Chris holds her cards a little bit closer to the chest, where I like lay all my cards and I'm like, here, you want to see them? Take my cards. Take them, please.
here, Chris, let's use AI. And I'm like, yeah.
Oh, come on. Let's not get into the AI talk. That's a whole nother
I
conversation
know, but
here.
I'm just saying it's the same thing where you're
It is
like,
the
hey,
same.
I'm publicized. I'm out there. And I'm like, yeah, me too. And you're like, you have Instagram. I'm like, I know. Look at me go.
That you post on here and there. So I love that our even though our journeys are similar, there, you know, there are other differences. And I think for me, this is probably where one of our differences lie, is when I first started this healthy living thing almost 15 years ago. I was like 21, 22 at the time. So I was young, right? And when I kind of started first eating healthy, it's because I was working in television at the time. I had just finished up university. I was living with my boyfriend, who's now my husband, and his 4 guy friends, and I was the only girl in this, you know, house of like 15 dudes all of the time. And when I was working in television, one of my jobs was I worked as a videographer and location host at a local cable station in Hamilton. And my one job was I went to all the best restaurants in the city and ate their must-have, gotta eat, foot high burgers and deep dish Chicago pizzas. And at the same time of hosting this food show, like it was essentially diners, drive-ins, and dives, as if anyone's ever seen that Guy Fieri, but it was in Hamilton. And then at the same time, I was also working on a show called What's Up with Gluten. It was a gluten-free cooking show. I had literally never heard of gluten in my life, ever. And when she was like, yeah, you know, I don't eat gluten, which is bread and pasta. And I'm like, what in the, what does this lady eat then? Like, are you
How do you
nuts?
survive?
How do you survive? I grew up, I like to say I'm an adopted Italian because I grew up, my mom married my stepdad when I was about 8, and I grew up in an Italian household. We ate breads and pastas and cheese and charcuterie boards and like you name it, that's what we ate. And I remember being like, okay, you want to know what? Like, I'm going to try this gluten-free thing. Like, this seems hocus pocus, but I'm going to try it. I discovered that my chronic migraines I had had since kindergarten, where I was taking a prescription med that made my body go numb and literally like drool come out of my mouth, that I was getting 1 to 2 times a week, went away. No more chronic migraines. And I was like, okay. And then my digestive issues started to clear up. And then my skin was starting to improve because this is when I was dealing with my chronic acne, was in my early 20s after coming off the birth control pill. And I couldn't believe the difference in my body. Now, it's not like all of my symptoms went away, but I was seeing an improvement in how I felt. And I ended up finding out I was celiac. And so for me, when I started, going gluten-free, I then decided to go back to school to study nutrition. And then I did the same thing because I'm very much like a 0 to 100. I'm going to do things to the max, go big or go home type of personality. So, like I said, I was in my early 20s when this was happening. I was still going to clubs and raves and bars and like music festivals and partying it up and doing my thing. And I was doing that on the weekends, but eating gluten-free during the week. I remember like actually going to a 3-day rave festival once, and I had Chris pre-made a rainbow quinoa salad that I kept in a cooler in my car so that we could come out and eat. My friends are like, Katie, you realize that we're at like a 3-day rave and you brought us a freaking quinoa salad. And I was like, yeah, I do. So I have pictures of it. It's great. So that was really interesting, right? Because here I am with, like the majority of my friends have always been guys, and they really didn't understand. They're like, are you putting spinach in your smoothie? Like, is that spinach in a milkshake? Like, what are you doing? That is disgust, Katie. What is happening? And when my family and friends started to see me, who used to be called carbo cake because they ate nothing but grilled cheeses, fettuccine alfredo, and pierogies, they were so confused. They were like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? This doesn't make sense. And within my, my own family, like, my parents and my siblings, I have a very big personality that kind of, from my early 20s, I was still a little shy around friends or Frank's family. Like I wasn't as confident as I am now in holding my boundaries. So that's kind of where my discrepancies lied. When I was at home with my family, like, you better believe I was telling my parents what's up and, berating them for how dare you use that milk. And, oh my God, is that a Teflon pan? And like just being that big personality that I am. And then when I was, going out with my friends, or I was having lunch with my colleagues, which was, working in television, again, all men, I remember this one specific time when, I was sitting in the lunchroom with all the guys, and they were eating their burgers and pizza. And I'm here eating, again, a quinoa salad. And they had been making fun of me for my lunches for weeks. And I got so fed up that I just went and started sitting at my desk. And I'll always forget that my one friend, Brendan, he came over to my desk. He's like, Katie, he's like, I just wanted to tell you, the reason why we harp on you so much is because deep down, we wish that we could be taking care of our health like you are. He's like, look at us. We're all overweight. We're all have health problems. And here we are eating pizza and burgers. And to see you doing something about your health, it just, we don't have that courage. And I'm so thankful to this day that he said that to me, because in that moment, I realized that the comments and opinions that I'm getting from others aren't about me. It's not about me. It's actually about their own inner, issues and self-confidence and esteem and lack of courage, or whatever that may be. So I was so thankful to him for that. And then as I kind of, through the years, my God bless my mother-in-law, she is such a kind soul. In the beginning, I'm sure it was really confusing for her, because I went from eating all of the foods that we ate at my in-laws house to starting to bring my own food. And bless her soul, she never said a thing, but I'm sure in the beginning it was difficult. But now 15 years later, she sees how much better that I feel. And she's happy for me that I eat this way. And she loves when I because I always bring food to share with the family. Like if they're doing, like an example, we had a fish and chips night a couple of weeks ago. They bought fish and chips from a local pub, and I had made my own fish and chips. So that way I could still eat the same food they were eating, just with a healthier spin. And my mother-in-law is always like, oh, I'll try some. And she's like, this is so delicious. So for me, it really did take years. Like I've been doing this for 15 years. In the beginning, it wasn't easy. It was hard. And I remember flip-flopping back and forth, because again, I would be in situations where I'd be out and about with my friends at a restaurant, and I was too embarrassed to ask if there's gluten or dairy in something, because I didn't want to hear the comments. So then I would just eat it, but then I would suffer and feel like crap for the next 3 days and have horrible migraines for the next 2 weeks. And I flip-flop back and forth. And when I was finally able to be like, enough is enough. I can't be in a dark room for 3 days. I can't be like clutching my stomach and watching my skin break out and doing all of these things just to appease other people. Where my health journey is for me. If I go and eat something that makes me feel like crap to make somebody else feel better, I'm just saying no to myself. And I need to be saying yes to myself, because saying you need to be your number one person, because when you feel like garbage, it's going to impact every facet of your life. So remember that your health journey is for you. It's not for anybody else.
And appreciate that when we're starting a health journey, it's a little overwhelming,
Scary.
right?
Yeah, it's overwhelming. It's scary.
It's
I remember
new,
that.
right? We're working on those words. It's new. You're not expected to know everything. Katie, between us, we've talked about this before, we have copious amounts and hours of nutritional training, and all the bills to prove it. And
years.
Right? However, the thing is this is why we love doing what we do, because we've done that. We've done the overwhelm, and we really, all our coaches inside the Clear Skin Solution, they've done their own health journey. So what we're really looking at here is, like you said, is really, we don't want the impact to the mental health, because that, impacts the emotional quality of what you're going through. And then you start to question, one, your ability to complete something. Two, a lot of clients call it dedication. I don't really call it dedication. Again, I call it new.
And that's the thing, is when you first start doing this, Chris, I'm sure you were like me, is when you first start learning this, you go down that rabbit hole. Like you are Alice going down that rabbit hole, and you can't get back up. And all of a sudden things start to snowball, and you get paranoid. You're like, oh my God, I have to get rid of all of my cookware and all of my skincare products. And I can only buy organic, and I have to drink this water. And I need to do, what about the chemicals in my furniture? What about the rugs that I'm buying? What about the paint on my walls? And you can see how this snowball starts to happen. And I remember in the beginning, I was probably a little psychotic about it. Like I was insane about, oh my gosh, I have to be perfect at all of the things, or else I'm not going to be healthy. And over the years, I've realized that that's not attainable. Being perfect in 110% of the way is unattainable, just because of the society that we live in. Like you'd have to go move up to the Antarctic somewhere and like live in an igloo. And you're like,
wait, is that an option?
Chris is like, wait, I can do that. It's too cold for me.
Wait,
Too cold for me. But
there's no AI up there, right?
there's no AI. Not yet, Chris. I'm sure the polar bears will start using AI
Okay,
eventually.
okay.
But did you do the same thing, Chris, where you went like psychotic about it, and then you really understood, and as the years went by, were able to put that balance into place?
I call it committed, Katie. Committed,
Committed.
right?
I wasn't psychotic about it. I was committed.
I was
Committed.
committed. Yeah, because I was educating myself. So that was like the first step, right?
Hmm.
And it was very frustrating,
Yes.
constantly navigating the comments on the process of which we choose to do, and we'll get into this a little bit later, just the irritating comments that were perpetual. And then people are talking to each other because the same comments are coming from the same
Hmm.
friend line or from the same family
The
line
same
or from
questions.
whatever. Like irritating, right?
And
I
another
just
thing on that was
Yeah.
I found in the beginning, because I was still learning and I was still new, I didn't know how to combat their questions properly.
Yeah,
Because I
absolutely.
knew, it's like, when you read something and you know the information and you understand it, but you don't yet know how to regurgitate it and to explain it to somebody. I think
Mhm.
that was my issue, is I was so confident in what I knew, but I didn't know how to properly answer people's questions in the beginning.
Yeah, now I would have just said, I'm not quite sure. I really
Mhm.
don't have the answer to that. However, I was the type of person, still am, is like, I'm the inner geek. I want to know the whys.
Mhm.
I want to be able to answer the questions. I don't want to look dumb.
Mhm.
Like that's one of my
Same.
weaknesses,
That's one of
right? I
mine.
don't Yeah, so honestly, if I'm in a room full of people, I will not speak if I don't know anything on the topic, because I am not even going to put myself out there,
Mhm.
right? And then I look standoffish. So you see all of these things that come up, and people just automatically assume
Mhm.
that, there's not an engagement or these types of things. Really, we have to familiarize ourselves with the individual we want to be, with the education we have, and then the people that we're communicating with.
Mhm. Now, I would love to, before we get into like how to approach the conversation, tips, that kind of stuff, I'd love to
Mm,
know, Chris, what are some of the most common things that you hear from the clients at the coaching, to like all of the coaches, because we have a big coaching team,
mhm.
that everybody's hearing from their clients when it comes to these types of conversations?
First of all, it's two words: I can't. I can't go out to restaurants, and I'm getting there. So, like, I can't go to restaurants. I can't go to this. I can't be social. I have to stay home. I can't eat. That's really a cofactor. And then when we start digging a little bit more, it's, you know, uh, I can't go out to eat because there isn't food there for me. Well, really, what it boils down to is they don't want to subject themselves to announce what they're doing, to bring awareness to what they're doing. So that's one little small caveat. My partner wants to know when I can start drinking wine again. How long, my partner wants to know how long I'm going to be doing this for. My partner isn't supportive, thinks it's Harry Canary, like I've gone off the rails.
And
My
what would you say
partner's
is the percentage of clients where they're saying these things? Because we do have some clients
high,
whose
high.
partners are incredible.
Absolutely. And that support system is so key, right? If we don't have family or we don't have friends, we have us. You have your
Hmm.
coach. And that's what I love about this program. You do it well, you set it up well. So I am still like hanging in, because I totally believe in all of these methodologies and
You
these
drank the Kool-Aid.
approaches. Well, I think I signed in blood, but whatever. Um, those are the things I just want. So the more we educate ourselves about our body, on how it works and how we react to the health changes, the smarter we're going to be able to make those health choices. The
Hmm.
smarter we're going to be able, and I'm using smarter for a reason. Uh, the smarter we're going to be able to communicate them, the smarter we're going to be able to navigate it. And why I say smart is because, like we said, we didn't want to look dumb. So that's kind of
Hmm.
my go to. But I'm telling you, I don't know that I can honestly say, when people say, I I don't know if I can do this because I don't have support. Or you know
Mhm.
what? My mother-in-law, when I do this, she does this.
Yeah, we get a lot of mother-in-law comments, especially I also find because we work with people worldwide, we work with all different cultures and backgrounds and religions and countries and whatever it may be. And sometimes we do have clients that come from cultures where food is so ingrained in everything they do, and their in-laws, whether it's their mother-in-law or father-in-law, or sister-in-laws, whatever it may be, they have that old school mentality thinking, right? They come from a different generation that doesn't
Hmm.
understand the health benefits, and it's difficult for their in-laws to understand, because again, they don't have that I don't know what the right word is for, but they just don't have that exposure to things like this, I guess would be a good way to put it.
Absolutely. And when we don't have the exposure, how are we educated? Just like we say in the Western medicine, we love emergency medicine. Oh my
Love.
gosh, like,
Bless. Thank.
hello,
Bless.
right? We know a different option now. We know some preventative techniques.
Hmm.
So that's what we're about. We really want to, so that we don't have to reapply this
Hmm.
lifestyle again. I would not sign up from about high school forward,
Hmm.
right? I'm not doing that life again.
Not
So
doing that life.
I no, so either you totally would.
I would.
Um,
My 20s, I totally would.
well,
I
I would do the
daydream about them
20s,
sometimes.
but I would do the 20s with the education I have now.
Ooh, I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. I wouldn't have as much fun.
Oh, I've totally biohacked enough. So,
You actually, we should do an entire episode on biohacking with Chris.
oh my gosh, no, I'm pretty sure it's illegal in most states. No.
It's,
The most thing is, this is what clients also say. I'm trying to stay positive. I'm trying to
hmm.
stay emotionally savvy. I'm trying to.
Hmm.
Your health journey is in your hands. You want it, it's yours.
Hmm.
Is it going to be rocky? Likely, because it's
Hmm.
new.
It's new.
Is it going to be challenging? Likely, it's new.
Hmm.
It does not mean we can't overcome this. However, I'm not a big one on be positive. It increases your success because we know that. But if you tell me be positive, that's like my husband saying relax when I
Oh
get a
gosh.
little, that's
That's a
dangerous.
Yeah, I think we have to really validate that this is challenging. It's not
Hmm.
always going to be easy, and of course we want to think positive, do our gratitude journal and all of those things, but we also want to validate that sometimes it's going to suck. Sometimes it's going to be really difficult. Sometimes it is going to be hard to shift your mindset and hard to switch things around, especially if you're someone like me who's a people pleaser, and I used to be really bad at setting boundaries. I didn't like letting people down. I always liked to be able to say yes, and not, and like not rock the boat. Even to this day, it's really difficult for me to not rock the boat type of situation. So I do want to validate that if you are going through this and you are finding it difficult, it's not going to be easy, but a smooth sea never made a skilled sailor. That's my quote
Exactly.
for today.
That's your
I love Jersey Shore, so if you love Jersey Shore, you know where that came from.
Mr. Mike.
Yeah, I love Jersey Shore. I've watched it since the beginning, and I'll watch it till the end of time. It's a great show.
So on the other end of that, that doesn't mean we're telling you to put like a tape a broomstick along your spine and just stand up straight and
Hmm.
put like a Teflon shield on, bulletproof, where you know what I mean, you're going to ignore everything that is said to you or done to you, because it's not that you're ignoring it, you're absorbing it somewhere, you just can't communicate it,
Hmm.
right? You don't feel like your environment is safe. It might not be trusting. We might become shy to those ones really around us. And then I think that's more where I was leading is I felt attacked on all ends, including
Hmm.
Steve. And he was
Hmm.
supposed to be my like
Your
do or
person.
die. Yeah. But of course I was part of that issue because I couldn't communicate it. And it was just like, just do it. Why are you challenging me? Why can't we just do
Hmm.
this together? But he really didn't know, right? But
Hmm.
that whole stature of we're going to get through this just by being strong, it's not really that approach.
Hmm.
We have to look at, of course, being positive does allow success, but so does sticking up your middle finger sometimes and
You can see
saying
Chris's
no.
personality coming through.
Oh, this is just a soft side.
This is just the soft side of Chris, everybody. You should see the intense side of her. And, I like, for me, Frank is the most laid back person ever. And in the beginning, he was still a little like, what do you mean we're not gonna have chips for dinner? And I was like, well, you do you. You can still eat your bag of Doritos. I'm going to start buying, these healthier things and this and that. And in the beginning, like, he still, like, he supported me, but he didn't understand. And as the years went on and he started to see the change in my health and see how I was feeling better. And, I cook 90% of the meals. So he had to eat what was given to him, and he'll eat anything. Like, he doesn't have, he's not a picky eater. And he now says, he's like, when I was younger, I wasn't exposed to these different types of foods, because that wasn't just how we ate. We ate the frozen pizzas and all that kind of stuff. And he's like, over the years of us doing this, he's like, I've started to feel so much better in my own health that he's like, it took him a number of years, but he's felt better and he feels stronger, and he doesn't, he has a strong immune system, and he really started to see the value in it. And I know, especially for him, the one thing he fought me a lot on was the price of the groceries. Was he's a saver. Okay. He doesn't like to spend money. And when he started seeing me buying, healthier food, and of course our grocery bill went up, because again, I'm the bougie shopper. Chris is the frugal shopper. For you and Frank would be perfect together. Frank is also a frugal shopper.
We probably never leave the house.
He's like, I would be happy with a bag of rice and chicken. That's all I need. I'm like, nope.
And Steve's meat and potatoes.
Yeah, Frank's rice and chicken. He's like, if I didn't have you, I just eat rice and chicken all the time. So in the beginning, he fought me on the grocery bill quite a bit. But when he started to see all of our health improved, he realized that our grocery bill was now an investment in our health. And it's taken me about 14, 15 years to, I like to tell him he has Stockholm syndrome. It's taken me 15 years to get him to this place, but he was really on board now. He still goes out on his lunch. I do see the pizza on our credit card statement, Frank. Don't think I don't see that. So when he's out and about, he'll have a beer, get a burger with the guys or whatever. But when he's at home, he's eating the way that I cook.
Yeah, I did like a lockdown situation too, where everybody is like this and like that and whatever. And, I was just in the last 2 years, I kind of stepped back and I was like, wait a minute. Why am I spending $2 more on a bun when Steve, you don't eat gluten-free when you're on your lunch. Nope. You don't eat dairy-free because, Katie, he doesn't have a dairy problem, but that's okay.
No, right? Yeah. Frank knows he has a dairy problem and still gets deep dish pizza when he's out without me. Steve's
in outward denial. So if he says it out loud, it's not a thing.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, right? Were you just in the bathroom for 30 minutes? How's your tummy feeling there? Did you?
I love it.
Did you wake up in the night a few times because you had to go to the bathroom? Yeah. Remember how I told you about that pizza?
Mm-hmm.
So even husbands of nutritionists do this, everybody. That's all I want to say. Even the husbands of nutritionists.
Listen, this is how we got good.
Yeah, dealing with the husbands.
Right? And those are the things. It's just where now he is absolutely on board. He does not love the cost of the groceries. Yesterday, we went grocery shopping. And I bought 3 things of like dairy-free cheese, like a cashew-based, nice, clean. Oh, it's so delicious. He's like, he points to all 3 and he goes, this will be stopping. And I said, not on your life.
Not on your life.
So choose, right? It was on sale, so I did buy 3. But he's like, Chris, what are we doing here? And I said, you know what? We go out to dinner. And for 3 of us, it's $180. That's not even traveling with 5 of my children. Yeah. I said, you don't think anything. You go out and you drop $20 on this on your lunch. Or you go out and you buy you do simulator, like golf simulating, right? That does activity for 30, 45 minutes. Like if you compound that, we need to eat to live. Mm-hmm. So one thing I will never do is compromise quality of foods. Do I have to make some concessions? Absolutely, because the prices of inflation are insane.
Outrageous, Chris. Outrageous.
Ridiculous.
Like sickening ridiculous. I'm like, what in the what? I didn't change anything I bought and it's like $200 more?
Yeah. It's like vomity. So I will do, because you said frugal, I will do without personally. I will not get
Mm-hmm.
new clothes. I will not get new
Mm-hmm.
shoes. I will not
Yep.
do like any of that
100%. That's
so that I can put those funds over. I won't go out to say Starbucks or Tim Hortons and
mm-hmm.
get in a Chris approved, whatever it is, high sugar, blah, blah, blah. It's not
Yep.
really approved. But I won't do any of that knowing where I'm going to put my investment.
Yeah, same. When we like early in our marriage, like we struggled financially, like it was extremely difficult
Mm-hmm.
financially for a number of years for us. And I still was buying the quality food, but we didn't go on vacations. We didn't buy new clothes. We didn't go out for dinners. We didn't go to movies. We didn't, vacations or concerts and all of the things our friends were doing. We stopped doing because we one, we couldn't afford it. And I put all of our budget towards our food because if I didn't, I felt so sick. And when our son was born, Jackson's also celiac like me. So, both Frank and I knew that we had to go and buy alternative options because of both my son and I being celiac.
Yeah, it's not fun, right? And as a mom, when we have autoimmunes, we know our children are so close, just always on that tight rope, that
Mm-hmm.
wire, walking that line, and we want to balance that. We become those mama bears.
Mm-hmm.
So when the children's health is compromised, I mean, Kylie couldn't eat soy and couldn't eat gluten, like she would flare.
Mm-hmm.
And then my in-laws were just like, well, I don't think she could be celiac because Aunt Bev, Aunt Bev, she doesn't eat. She eats gluten and she's celiac.
I
Like,
love those comments. Those are my
like,
favorite.
like, I have to breathe really deep some days, right? And I have to remind myself they're not educated in what I know, and it's not a challenge to what I know. And guess what? I don't have to prove myself.
Mm-hmm.
Go back. What was I trying to do? I was trying to prove that I was valid. I was trying to prove that the vocational studies I was doing was valid. And
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have the audience.
Yeah.
So are they my tribe? No, it doesn't mean you cut them out and you do things, whatever. It just means, guess what? Sex, money, and religion you don't talk about. Now you don't talk about nutrition. You just add it to the list of
Don't
things you don't
forget
talk about.
don't forget politics and don't forget COVID. Those two have been added over the last 4 years.
Oh, I do like a little politics
I
every so
know.
often.
Yeah, well, we talk about
So,
it. We talk about it, but
right?
and yeah, we put
But
nutrition
it's
in that realm.
stressful. It still
It's
stresses
still
me out,
stressful.
right?
So I think this is a good segue to go into some tips. So how can we really start approaching the conversation, navigating this, navigating. And I think a good way to start is what happens when you don't have a support system. Actually, no. I want to put that at the end. I want to take a different approach
Oh,
because yeah,
I was gearing up.
no. I want to take a different approach because I want to talk
Okay.
through. I want to talk through the tips to how to, go from resistance to assistance, and then if we're still dealing with resistance at the end, let's talk about that. So, I found Chris that for me, when I really explained, when I really explained my why to my friends
Mm-hmm.
and family, that's
Mm-hmm.
when they were more supportive. When I was like, listen, I get it. This seems totally out of left field. I've never done this before. I can really appreciate how this looks. And I want to explain why I'm doing this. I have dealt with severe chronic migraines that leave me in bed for 3 days since I was in kindergarten. My skin is flaring up so much that I don't even want to leave the house because I don't like the way that I look. I have such severe stomach aches and such severe period pain that I'm just popping Advil left, right, and center and like clutching a water bottle. I feel very sick. I don't feel well and I'm not happy.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that you may not understand what I'm doing, but I would love you to just support me on this because I want to feel better. I want to be able to go and have fun with you and our friends and our family and whatever we want to do. And I don't want to suffer anymore. So I really just want to try this on to see if it works.
Mm-hmm.
And when I explained it like that, and lots of our clients, when they really sit down and they explain to their loved ones, whether it's a spouse, a partner, a friend, a family member, whoever it may be, when you explain it to them, a lot of the times they're going to say, hey, okay, I don't want you to feel like that. And if this is going to make you happy, I may not understand it, but I'm going to support you from the sidelines, and there may be the odd comment still, but when you really share your why and be open to why you're doing this, that can really go a long way. And it's again, not a fun conversation to have, to be vulnerable. Nobody likes to feel vulnerable. But when you really do open up, I find especially in the last couple of years, I don't know, Chris, have you seen like a really big shift in society where people are opening up and are being a little more vulnerable? I feel like I've seen
Yeah,
that.
because I also see anxiety revving like crazy in the
Mental
last
health
couple of
issues.
years,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I think it's explode or implode.
Mm-hmm.
You got to pick an avenue. Also, as you're explaining that conversation, here's the thing: some people may not be on Camp Katie.
Nope.
They may think it's insane. They might not want any part. And eventually those people will surface, and then you get to choose. You get to choose if they get to be a part of your health journey. I didn't say you have to remove them and they don't need to be your friends. The thing is we need to, when that positive thinking comes, I can say, be positive, just relax, right? Or I can say, let's start finding your tribe.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start finding the people that truly want to support. So when it's pub night and you're going out, they come back with a fancy water. You know what I mean? You go up and you do that for yourself. Like there's ways around it. That's what people will do to support you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
Right?
another thing, Chris, right, is you can even share with them saying, hey, I'm not expecting you to do this with me. Like I'm not trying to change you at all. If you want to, keep on the way status quo thing you've always done, amazing. I'm going to be making the changes for myself. That's it. Because I think sometimes what happens is like that story I told about my colleague Brendan at the
Mm-hmm.
beginning, where it's most often not about you. The changes you're making. It's not about you. It's how it's making that person feel, whether it's on a conscious or subconscious level. That, remember, humans don't like change. Going against the pack is scary because if you go against the pack, you get ostracized from society and you get eaten by a saber-tooth tiger. So it makes people on
I just had a visual.
I know. So it makes people uneasy because when you change, it's, on some type of level, maybe they wish they could be making those changes, or maybe maybe they don't feel safe anymore. It really goes to like a much deeper psychological level.
The other thing, depending on what we have, right? Your celiac, so that's your intestinal cavity. I'm thyroid, so it's up on my throat. People cannot see our illness
Mm-hmm.
for the most part. They don't know what we're dealing with. I'm going to sidebar it to those with acne. This
Yep.
is what I do with some of the clients, right? Because I have to really appreciate how heavily this weighs on their psyche.
Mm-hmm.
You know it well, I know it well. We're sufferers. We deal with all these women all the time, right? I always say, thankfully, this is your life and you get to live it in whatever which way you choose,
Mm-hmm.
which is so effective, right? So it is easy for others to judge because there's no physical ramifications for them. I'm sure their comments really, there might not even, maybe they're not meant to be nasty. I'm sarcastic by nature. I don't intend to offend. I just naturally can. However, knowing how much weight and pressure we place on ourselves and judge ourselves, especially with that acne, I have to say again, like, I truly appreciate how this is going to affect somebody. And I, six of one happened as another. It's more of this support system that I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I create more of a verbiage that takes away the focus of the acne because we're so self-conscious. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I say to people, what if we used, I don't know, a statement such as like, I joined a program that helps me with eating more whole foods I find it super interesting. Already I'm feeling more energy, better sleep. I'm finally pooping. I mean, not everybody likes to talk about poop as I do. Whatever it is, those gains, I'm having more energy. Just some of the things, my migraines are gone. And I've been lacking this for years. I can't wait to share my journey and looking forward to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we get any resistance, that's when we say become a little more firm. Start appreciating the boundaries that you are, even as a people pleaser, you are able to do. It's like, I'm committed to this health journey. And what I'm doing now doesn't mean forever. I'm working through the foundations and I'm loving this journey. Again, I look forward to your support. Of course, you're going to throw in your own words, these are mine. But then really, what more? What are they going to say? No? Because I think you just eliminated someone pretty quick.
Mm-hmm. And I think really being specific about the support that you need from somebody versus just like leaving it open. So you could say something like, listen, I get that, you may not understand and I'm not expecting you to make changes. I would just really love if you could support me by not making those comments. That would be so helpful for me. I would love if you could support me by, and then fill in the blank of what the specific support is. Because if you just say, I would love your support's going to mean something different to you than it is going to mean to your loved one. So I think being a little specific can also be helpful.
Yeah, and we have to watch comments that we can potentially impose on ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
We might not know those toxic, those vampires, those people in our lives that really actually drain us.
Energy
They might be
drainers.
they might be in disguise because we're just so used to them. Like, I have a BFF from like school, but I'm like, okay, 3 times a year, man, 3 times a year.
They're draining.
Can I do you, right? Like these conversations. So at the end of the day, it's all about, again, I love focusing on the whole foods. I love focusing on the effective gains you've had. Get excited about them. Tell them about your journey. And again, the support with your actual partner, you want to get a little more in depth with. What does this mean for you? Right? Because all Steve's thinking is, sweet mother of God, do I have to stop drinking beer? Sweet mother of God, is she going back into that phase again? Mm-hmm. Right? Do I have to hide the chips? Like, whatever it is, everybody wants to know the impact to themselves. And you're like, well, that sounds selfish. Well, you know what? Everyone's allowed to be selfish, the end, including yourself who's going through this journey. Is it really selfishness? No, but it's that perpetual talk that we tell ourselves. So please, 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 just be open. If you can't be open, throw it towards the foods. And if you're very sensitive about your acne, then again, let's talk about everything outside of the acne so we don't walk into those comments. And the comments we're going to get, right? We hear it through clients.
Right, because sometimes, like, when you're on your acne journey, it's not going to be linear A to B. Your skin I can almost guarantee your skin is going to flare at some point. It's going to get worse before it gets better. I know nobody wants to hear that, but we're here to be honest and transparent with you. And I think it's a really important thing to say, because that happens on any health journey, not just your skin. So, we've of course had clients where they've had comments from loved ones saying, I thought you were doing this to clear up your skin and your skin's looking worse. So they don't understand. So that's where you can be sharing the non-skin wins ahead of time, being like, oh my gosh, my bloat is gone. I can actually zip up my jeans. My gas, I used to have, like, if you're like, oh my gosh, my gas is totally gone. And I used to be so embarrassed about it. Or my headaches have gone away. My periods have gotten easier. So sharing those wins ahead of time can be really, really helpful, because they're like, the skin is something you can see, but not everybody can see the internal symptoms that are clearing. My sleep is improving. Oh my God, I have more energy. I'm not having to drink 6 cups of coffee. Those types of things can be really helpful. So Chris, now before we finish up, I want to do 2 things. I want to go into mealtime tips, because we get this all the time where my family's not eating the same way, or, I don't want to insult my in-laws. I don't want to insult somebody. And then I want to go into what happens if you don't have the support system that you need at home. So one thing that I love, that I think is really helpful when it comes to meal times, especially if you spend a lot of time with your in-laws, or especially if you come from a culture where it's really around food, if you have this relationship with them, you can say, hey, you want to know what? I love your cooking so much, and I know I'm on this health journey because I want to feel better about myself. Would you be able to help teach me how you make chicken cutlets? And that way I can use like a gluten-free, breading or something, whatever the recipe is. Be like, I would love to be able to learn how you make this and use ingredients that aren't going to hurt my stomach. That, like, oftentimes people will understand like stomach pain and things like that. So I think approaching it that way is like, I love your food so much. I want to still be able to eat it. And I would love for you to teach the recipe to me. And then that can be really helpful as well. Don't you agree?
Yeah. And again, as you transition and as your skin clears up, it's not maybe a forever, it's a for
Mm-hmm.
now. So being clear to say, I'm doing this over 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be changes that come around. So what might work for these 4 weeks might not work for the next.
Mm-hmm.
I don't expect you to be on, you know, on alert with everything I'm doing. Are you open if I can communicate the changes with you? If I ask about what's going to be served, if I can, bring something in
Communicate.
compliment?
Yeah.
Yes, communicate.
Bring something to share. That's something I did with when I went to my in-laws is I never brought like a little serving for myself. I always brought a serving to share. So I would say, "Hey Janet, what do you want me to bring for Christmas dinner this year?" And she would say, "Oh, you want to bring a salad or you want to bring this?" And I would make something with ingredients I knew that I could eat, and then I would bring it with me so everyone could have a bite.
Yeah, and then I got the bring crackers and cheese. And
Perfect.
I'm like, and no, because that was everything we couldn't eat. That was
Yep.
gluten and dairy all in one, right? So I didn't find that supportive. But they also they forget.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Just
can
remind.
say, yeah. So you know what I did? Okay, I created a other, and
Yep.
then I created one for us.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, why aren't the kids eating from this one? What happened to it? As if like there was some kind of intent,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you don't worry. Like between all of us, we've heard the comments. All
Mm-hmm.
coaches, we've heard the comments,
Heard
or
them
we've
all.
endured the comments, or maybe we implied the comments. Where no, but it's true. Like in stages,
Mm-hmm.
right?
And
So go ahead.
no, no, no. I was going to a different topic.
I was just going to say, just please remember that your health journey is really based on your worth and your value.
Mm-hmm.
Never compromise your worth and your value because you feel someone's going to judge you. I'll tell you right now, the person that's judging you the most is
Your
listening to
is
this
your
right
is
now,
yourself. Yeah, I'm
is yourself.
my own biggest critic. That's for
You
sure.
can spiral so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So for those people that don't like to share like myself, give them bits and drabs, put it on the program, put it on timelines, let them know, communicate it that way. For those people that have an amazing support system, tell them what you're doing, but always go back to the health that you're looking to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, ladies, you're going to have to decide whether or not you want to bring up the acne portion. But if you're really self conscious, please maybe leave that out for
Mm-hmm.
now.
All right,
Mhm.
last 2 points is one more mealtime tip and then finding the support system because we're almost at the hour. So one final one is for those that are like in your day-to-day family, like I'm eating this way but my family isn't eating, like how can I do that? One thing we always recommend to our clients is cook the same protein for everybody. If your, family eats
Mhm.
animal products, everyone gets a steak, everybody gets a chicken, everybody gets a fish, whatever that protein is that your family eats, and then you can have some different sides. So if your family's really big on this like whatever the side is, amazing, make that and then make yourself like some vegetables or salad on the side. So this is where like including an extra side or two can be really helpful because everybody's sharing the main protein and then it's just an extra side that you're going to have to make. And this is where batch cooking, so if you're like, hey, I know I'm going to need a side for the next couple of meals, batch cook on say the Monday so that way you only have to warm it up for the next couple of days.
I love three sides. I'm
Mhm.
really big on three
I love three
sides.
sides. Yep.
One is a starch, the other two are non starches. I will always endure that. Nobody looks and goes, why aren't you eating potatoes?
Hmm.
Because they are devouring their dish.
Yeah.
So we don't have to bring light to it. But if you have
Hmm.
variety, then you get to eat. You are
Hmm.
important. Just make sure you know that.
Yeah. And the last one is if you're still struggling to find a support system within your immediate circle,
Call
with
Katie.
yeah, call me, show up in my DMs. Is we need to just find somebody outside of say your spouse. Maybe it's a best friend that again may not understand but will support you, will be that person where you can rant and let it all out to. Find a colleague, find in like we live in the age of the internet. You can find a support group, a Facebook group, an Instagram
Mhm.
page. Come find us. And that's what I really love about the Clear Skin Solution is a component we included is a community group chat, so that if a client doesn't have a support system at home, they don't not only have their coach and their nutrition assistant, but they also have their group chat where they have a whole group of like 100 plus women in there at times that are on the same journey that can understand and be that support system.
Absolutely. So vital. I can't tell you if I had this way back. I'm gonna go a little outside to just follow this along. So the reels come along, and I like to look at the Libra ones because they're funny, because they always have some psychotic clown. So I'm like, oh, maybe I need to look at this one. However, this has only been in the last few months, but my kids would say, Mom, why are you like this? Mom, why is Dad like this? Why are you guys opposite here? Why are you still the same here? Why do you always have to align when it's punishment? Like these types of things. And I couldn't really explain myself, which I thought was weird because I can intuitively eat. I can intuitively read people. Like it's just, so I started watching these and I was like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Because I didn't know another, say, Libra. I didn't know that I truly hold these traits. So now I look at them and I'm like, I'm going to use all of these traits to apply because I'm not judging myself anymore, right? Why are you an overthinker? Because I'm an introvert. Next, right? Why do you do this? It's not that I have to justify it, but isn't it nice to know that when I read those reels, I connect so deeply, and I feel like, oh wow, I'm not Harry Canary. This is who I am, and this is by trait. So just watch that, and I'm just giving you I always like to give different types of things so people kind of connect to it. So.
All right. Well, that's it for this episode, you guys. Next week is really exciting because we're starting a brand new series called Real Skin, Real Journeys, where we will be having a client from the Clear Skin Solution come on to share their journey, because this was a really big audience request. They wanted to hear real stories of other women that have gone through this journey as well. So stay tuned next Wednesday because we start the series then.
Thanks for hanging out with us this week on the Clear Skin Chronicles. We'll see you next Wednesday with a brand new episode. Remember to subscribe to the show and drop us a review. Sending glowing vibes your way, Katie and Chris.